Hi, welcome to Survivor Smackdown. This is Billy Garcia from Survivor Cook Islands, along with superfan Kelly McCrary from Auburn University.
Hey everybody, War Eagle.
All right, so we just got through from watching the second episode of Survivor Worlds Apart, white collar versus blue collar versus no collar, or in this episode, as we'll call it, Survivor Orgy Island, where it's dinghies versus hoo-has. I don't know. It was just it was an X-rated Survivor this episode. What do you think?
It's Richard Hatch all over again. I mean, good thing for the blur spots, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know. If I was out there, I would not be taking my clothes off unless it was absolutely necessary, and even then, I probably wouldn't even do it. So I don't know. I don't know why people think it's a good idea to take their clothes off.
Well, what I like is that they didn't actually show all the times they did it. There was a couple of times where we just got like a story about it, which is how the episode started. The episode started with Dan telling us the story of how he was taking an aqua dump. For those of you who don't know, that's a coin phrase by Yao Man back in Fiji. And that just means you're in the ocean or whatever, and you're doing your number two in the ocean instead of on dry land. Okay, sure. And so Dan tells us that he had his underwear down by his ankle on one leg, and he was taking his aqua dump. Then a big wave hit and knocked him over. He did not tell us if he fell into the dump that he was taking. He left that part out. But then, as he got knocked over, his underwear came off his ankle and is now somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. I'm sure one day to wash up on the shore.
It'll wash up.
On like New Zealand or
or right on the island where they're staying, and you get some back. You never know.
I don't know. That'd be some crazy luck. But, yeah, that's got to be a first that somebody loses their underwear on Survivor.
Well, technically, we could go back to Philip and they were stolen and buried, so technically he lost them, but...
yeah, buried.
But yeah, he's lost in the ocean. That sounds like a first.
Buried treasure that someday some archaeologist is going to dig up. Okay.
That'd be a big surprise.
Yeah, I bet they will. That'll disprove all their theories of the natives on the island there. They wore pink underwear. But
yep.
This whole Dan story, I hate to pick on the guy, but like he's telling this story while we're watching images of him wearing his shirt like a diaper. like one of those Depends that you see old people wear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going, I think he kind of got a little bit of Rupert in him and was like, I'm just gonna make me some new clothes or whatever, because it was Rupert that did the whole like man skirt thing back in the day.
Yeah, but when he did it, it looked like a kilt.
Diaper, yeah.
No, it looked like a kilt.
Dan, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, what Dan did look like a diaper. What Rupert did look like a pirate kilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense with Rupert with the big beard, very piratey.
Yep.
And then he was on Pearl Islands. I don't know. But then we get a story about how the girls on the no collar tribe went skinny dipping, and then Nina, who's this older woman who's deaf, wasn't invited to go skinny dipping, and she throws a hissy fit over it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like both sides, I guess, of the argument, because it's like, yeah, there's only 3 girls, and then the two go off to do their thing, and it's like, yeah, they didn't ask her, which is kind of like her view on it. But then again, it's just like, is it really that big of a deal to make that big of a blow up of it?
I would have been like, hey, if you want to get naked right now, go ahead. Nothing's stopping you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I could see both sides, but I think it was less big of an issue than it was made out to be.
But we got a little preview from how Nina tends to miss time and also miscommunicate certain ideas that would come back later in the episode.
Oh yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing maybe.
Yeah, definitely that. And then we go over to the white collar tribe where Max goes full Monty, and followed by Sharon.
Sharon, yeah. And I understand why did they zoom in on her
hoo-ha
lower areas more than once. I was like, I don't understand. Why is the zoom going in?
No, what I loved was number one. Imagine being a cameraman, like having to film like everybody butt naked and not come off like a total perv.
Yeah.
Which he did anyway. It's like you said, he zoomed in.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then we had this one dude who was like married. Was it Tyler? He was talking to Shirin.
Oh yeah, and he would not look at. He was just kind of like looking like straight forward. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
like he was like making no eye contact and like had his hand over his mouth, just slightly like shaking his head, like, is this really happening?
No. Then worse than that, he was fumbling over his words. Like they gave us like the captions, so just so we knew like what we were hearing. That here's this married guy. You would think he'd seen plenty of hoo-ha before, but for whatever reason, here on Survivor, seeing Shirin's hoo-ha had him totally fumbling and not able to function.
Yeah. I don't know. Crazy stuff goes on out there.
Yeah, so as this is going on, like there was, I could almost hear like Sandra Diaz, like in Survivor Pearl Island, with a similar quote from a similar situation. I'm gonna play it real quick.
I don't know what was going on with them. I wish their dinglings got stuck on a vine, or I don't know. That was just stupid.
Like that was what was going through my mind as this was going on. Like, you know, we got dingling flapping in the wind. We got hoo-ha being flashed left to right.
At least they weren't on challenge. That might be like Sandra was, but you know, who's to say what's yet to come? Because if they're doing it out on the beach, they may end up doing it in challenges, like have been done before. You know.
You know what, man? Just to mess with Jeff Probst, because like nobody ever messes with Jeff Probst. I would say have the whole tribe show up like with no pants to like tribal council and like be like, Jeff, you didn't get the memo? You got to lose your pants.
Oh, good idea. There you go.
Just to mess with him, and I'm sure he would like have a tough time like keeping his composure.
Tough time asking the questions.
Yeah. And I know a thing or two about rattling Jeff Probst's cage. You know?
Oh yeah.
But all right, so all of this nudity goes down, and the game kind of takes place over on the blue collar tribe, where Mike is trying to push the action and trying to get people to do a lot of work. I'm sure it's a tactic to try to get the lazy person on the chopping block, but it completely backfired.
Oh yeah, because like you can't boss people around out there. They'll totally take it the wrong way, even if you don't think you're like bossing, but. Just even if, like, sometimes even if you just ask them to do it, they'll get offended or whatever and think you're trying to boss them around. And it's just, tensions are high out there. And when you have, like you said, I think last week, a bunch of workers on one tribe, which is the blue collar, and a bunch of leaders, it's just like, they should all be used to working anyway, I guess, and try to pull their own weight. But when you're out there, I guess things might be different.
Well, see, that's just it. The whole single out a lazy person tactic is such a hard tactic to pull off that it does require a certain finesse to it. Ozzy, from my season, was great at it. Ozzy would observe who did what. In my case, I was the guy who would clean out the shelter and put in new palm fronds for us to sleep on top of. He'd wait, or he'd find a reason for us to leave that area. Then he'd go and walk all over it to get it dirty, and then have us all come back and be like, Billy, you need to clean out the shelter. And then I'd go over and I'd be like, what the hell? Like, this
I just did this. I don't understand.
And then he wouldn't give me a chance to say I already did it. He would just like pull people aside and say, you know, look, here you go again. Here's Billy being lazy, not wanting to do his job. So that's finesse. The way Mike did it, where he didn't single out an individual. He just threw blame in a general direction. Oh, everybody's being lazy the way I was raised, and da-da-da, and that... You know, you can't piss everybody off. I don't think that tactic has ever worked where you piss off everybody.
Right. Oh, yeah. So, I don't
And
know.
I think it was Rodney who said that he's all for working, but you can't have all work and no play.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, you can't just work yourself to death. And then, I mean, you have to, like, kind of just chill out to, you know, just even get ready for, like, the challenges and stuff. Because you don't want to use all your energy out there doing continuous work around camp and everything.
I love the clever editing that happens with this tribe, where They show the tribe playing like basketball, and then when you get to the challenge, sure enough, Mike looks like an ass because that was the skill that they need to win.
Right.
Yeah. So that was really clever editing. Kudos to the powers that be there. So speaking of the challenge, we get to the challenge, and well, I went bonkers on Twitter saying yes, a water challenge. Like we just don't get enough of these anymore. They're rare now, and so they had to
swim out and get the pieces. Is that what it was, or the throwing balls?
Yeah, they had to jump in the water. There was these throwing balls that had rope through them, and you had to maneuver them through the rope through all these various obstacles.
That's right.
And then once you get your ball to the platform, then the next person goes, and once everybody's on a platform.
And then they did have to climb over the wall, and then that's when they got to the last platform, and that's where they had to shoot.
They climbed. That was part of the obstacles. They had to climb through over the wall.
Oh, okay. Oh,
gotcha.
Right.
Rope rope maze or whatever, where you had to maneuver your ball through the rope maze, and then once everybody was on a platform, then you shoot baskets.
Right.
And sure enough, Will, it's kind of funny that they kind of singled out Dan because he didn't sit out, and Dan was like, I'm going to surprise a lot of people, and he did. And then Will, just the opposite. Will killed his tribe.
Yeah, and then like when they got back to camp too, he kind of like played it down like he did, and it's like, no, you obviously kind of had a little to do with like slowing them down and everything, so you can't like downplay it too much, I guess. But he tried to make it seem like no, it wasn't his fault at all, but really it kind of was.
It was hugely his fault. The Blue Tribe, all that practice that they did with the baskets, it totally came to fruition. It worked. Joaquim over on the White Collar Tribe, you could just tell the dude played basketball. Like he had a natural stroke.
Yeah, he's pretty big dude.
Yeah, and he's just you could tell like he's an athlete.
Yeah.
Over on the No Collar Tribe, Joe and Will tried to be the basket shooters, and they were just bricklaying left and right.
Well, I didn't even think Joe actually shot one shot, did he? It was like it reminded me of last season when who was going to throw the challenge, which technically Vince wasn't throwing the challenge, but it reminded me of that, and like he just wouldn't let anyone else like throw, and then like if I was the other person, I'd be like, no, give me the ball, I'm gonna throw it. And it was just like, I don't know, it like had my blood pressure rising because I was like, why is Joe just like standing there letting him keep shooting and not getting in?
Yeah, Joe actually when after they threw the balls and they ran out of balls to throw and they had to fish them back, Joe actually grabbed a couple and took a couple of shots, but he like didn't set up or anything. He just he was flinging them out there because at that point they were so far behind. I think he was panicking. Yeah,
and Vince was just like, I don't know, I just felt like he was taking over, and they wouldn't, like, it would be better if maybe they alternated or something just to see how it flowed, if it flowed better or something. But he didn't even do that, and it was really annoying me, and I was like almost couldn't take it.
Will took some shots as well, and he was airball. he didn't even get get rim on that. But all right, so they lose a challenge, so we know that the no collars are going to tribal council. They come back to camp. And like you mentioned, Will tries to downplay that it wasn't a big deal, that, he's stronger in other areas or he'll help out in other challenges. So here's the interesting part. Joe comes up with this idea of splitting votes, which is something Cowboy came up with on my season, which when he came up with the idea, it made sense because it was at that point a huge tribe. And several people had cracks at that hidden immunity idol. So it kind of made sense that he wanted to target the two people, not several people. Two people had cracks at the hidden immunity idol, so either one had it or the other. So it made sense then.
Right. But sometimes it's not a good idea to split. It's because then like Will went and told. Was it Will that went and told? And then it's like that just screws it all up, and then you're ousted. If you know for a fact you can get away with it, I would say go for it. If not, if you're not too sure about a person you're asking to split the votes with, it might not be a good idea.
Even then, this is a small tribe.
Right.
So in a small tribe scenario, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
It's too small. There's not enough people. So he went to go split votes. Vince had this great idea of having three people vote one way, and then the other two votes, the other people voting would throw their votes away because they're splitting, and they would gain power. great idea. That was the biggest player move, or the biggest player move he attempted, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
maybe not so much against the person who he wanted out, which is a horrible idea if you ask me, because it is so early and it's still the three separate tribes, and Joe is one of their dominant players he's on their tribe. Right.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. But the point I want to make is, like, Nina mistimed something. She mistimed. She and Vince were talking much earlier about how they're not sure if Will's health is up to standards for Survivor, and so they just wanted Vince just wanted to get a thumbs up from Will, and then he was good.
Right.
But Nina, instead of just settling for that thumbs up from Will, which she got, she just kept on and on and on and making issue of how Vince is worried about Will's health and da-da-da, and that made Will paranoid and think that Vince was trying to blindside him.
Mm-hmm.
Which completely ruined what was a great idea up to that point.
What could have worked, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great idea. The three people that in any other season, even on the Big Tribe, would probably be at the bottom, would have been at the top. This would have been one of those rare seasons.
Oh yeah.
Where the average Joes have control, and all the jocks and the prom princesses and prom queens or whatever would be at the bottom.
The underdogs are running the show.
Yeah, it's a rare season. And sure enough, Nina kind of, put her foot in her mouth and totally ruined a great idea. And Vince gets blindsided.
Yep. Though they had me worried there for a minute because I thought I thought Vince's plan was gonna come through and they were gonna vote out Joe. But then when all the talk with Nina and about Will and his health and stuff, I was like, okay, maybe they're going that way. And then the whole Vince thing, so it was like one of the three, and I was really hoping it wasn't gonna be Joe because I love Joe. Yeah. But I think they got it right, because Vince is just a wild card and he's unpredictable. I felt like, and you never knew what he was gonna do.
I think they should have went with Nina, just because her handicap and her attitude towards her handicap, mostly more than the handicap itself, is gonna be like a morale liability on the camp. What got me was that Will went on his own here. He, instead of going with the plan of splitting the votes, he just totally pissed off everybody. He pissed off Nina, who was on his side. Mm-hmm. He pissed off the three people that he turned out to align with, at least in his mind. He pissed off everybody. Like, Is this one of the dumbest moves you can make? Like, to come away from tribal council with everybody mad at you?
Oh yeah. So it may come back, or probably will come back to bite him in the butt. Because I feel like everyone's arguing next episode.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's, between Mike over on the blue collar tribe bossing everybody around, and Will pissing off everybody with the way he just played at tribal council. I mean, the white collar tribe is looking good, to where everybody's getting along, getting naked.
And initially, they were the ones having the most problems, it seemed like.
Yeah. I guess nudity goes a long way after all. But bringing your point from earlier, here's my take on whether it was too early for Joe or not. There are certain people, and I'm not saying that Joe's in this category, but there's certain people that when you're in the game, you can kind of tell that they're front runners to win it all. Mm-hmm. Boston Robin Redemption Island will forever be the most obvious of that example. On my season, if you go back to my elimination, and I go up to Ozzy and say, I expect you to win, that was my way to tell the viewing audience that it was obvious for my season that he was a front runner.
Right.
And I think what Vince was seeing, or what he thought he saw, was that, at least on his tribe, Joe was an obvious front runner.
Yeah, I could see that, because he, like I said before, he kind of had the feels of a Malcolm, and during both of Malcolm's seasons, he was a front runner, I would say. Just because he just had that aura about him that was like, this guy's going to be good. There's potential for him to take it all the way.
Well, there's two approaches you can have, at least that I know of, to dealing with a front runner, and both of them didn't quite work out. So neither approach worked. Number one is you can do what I did and try to get the women to side against the men here and take out the front runner. Cecilia, if you go to the recap episode of my season, Cecilia totally rats me out like 5 minutes after I try to convince her and Christina. She totally rats me out, so I'm the one on the outside. So it backfired. They threw a challenge to make sure that I would never take out Ozzy, which he never got taken out. So that didn't work. Natalie Tenorelli decided I'll stand with the front runner and I'll go to the end and hopefully he'll burn enough bridges that I'll be able to convince the jury. She went to the end. She got that far, that much work, but then the jury wasn't convinced. The jury was like, he's the front runner. Of course he won. He was the guy we all expected to win.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I could kind of see why Vince was in this conundrum of what to do about somebody who's an obvious front runner. So obviously going after him, just like with me, got him out second. So
yeah, but like you said, they're still small tribes right now, and you're still a team. It's still a team thing. Like I feel like Vince was thinking too much along individual type stance, I guess. And so for me personally, I just felt like it was way too early, and that they really needed Joe because he's such a benefit to the no caller. I think.
Right. I think the closest thing we've seen to a front runner taken out expertly at the right time was Jeremy. Jeremy last season, everybody was like, "Oh, he's the firefighter. He has a great background story, great backstory. He's, if he goes to the end, he'll win." And they got him right at the merge, where the jury started. So,
which even then I felt it was a good move on the playing the game part because he was totally and definitely a major threat. But as a viewer, I loved Jeremy so much, I didn't want him to go.
No, I feel you. See, that's the whole thing, man. That as the fan, you want all the best players to be there when the game's decided.
Yeah.
As a player, that's like minimizing your chances to win to have all the best players around.
Exactly. It's just it's like you can't decide, like, do you want to go against the best competition and, like, prove that you're really the best, or do you just want to make it like a shoe-in? And it's like, if you don't choose shoe-in, are you really that smart? Because you're basically giving away $1 million if you don't.
Yeah, well, that was Wu's conundrum, where he gave away $1 million because he wanted to go against the best, when he should have went with the easy victory.
Oh yeah, because as sitting here on the couch watching it as a fan, I could say one thing because I would feel like, because I'm a pretty competitive person, so I would feel like now I could say, I want to go against the best. I want to play against the best competition to prove that I can beat them. But then if I were to ever get out there, my opinion may totally change. And I'm like, no, I'm taking you because I know I can beat you.
yeah, that would be my thing. For me to, from having been out there before, I could honestly look at certain people that I was on the season with and say I had no chance of beating these, but I had a chance of beating these people.
Right.
Like, if I'd have sat next to Penner, he'd have won. If I'd have sat next to Yule, he'd have won. If I'd have sat next to Ozzy, he'd have won. But if I'd have sat next to Cecilia, I'd have won. If I'd have sat next to JP, I'd have won. If I'd have sat next to Sekou, I'd have won.
Yeah.
So, there's certain people, and even like, let's say Rebecca. Rebecca made it to the jury. I think if I'd have sat next to her, I'd have won.
Yeah.
So it's not even that they went far or whatever. It's just, it's something that Bob Dog used to love saying to me whenever we'd get drunk together at an event. He'd say, Billy, and then he'd burp, and say 90% of the game is who you're surrounded by. Yep. And then he'd pat me on the back real hard and say, I like being surrounded by you. Now that I know better, he's trying to say he could beat me. Now I know better, but back then I took it as a compliment. I was like, you know what, Bob? Next round's on me. Dumb. But yeah. But I like Bob Dog. Hey, Bob Dog. And speaking of shout-outs, we're going to do a couple of shout-outs. I'm going to give a shout-out to Survivor Oz, who plugged us on their broadcast. That was cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I did not even know that.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben Waterford. And we are not competing. Me and Kelly are just totally having fun. There was a couple of fans some time ago, more than a couple, who I've had these kind of Survivor conversations with, and they were so fun that they came away saying, these conversations should have been on a podcast, and they were so cool.
Okay, yeah.
So, I decided, all right, let's have this thing as a podcast. Let's have these little talks, and sometimes they'll be funny, where we do a lot of smack talking, that's the name. Other times they'll be very analytical. Sometimes there's nothing really to talk about because nothing happens in the episode. So we'll just go off on something completely different, like college football or I don't know what.
Yes, I got a lot to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, that's my
okay.
my alma mater. So we're in the same conference, so we got a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah.
And then we both have the same rival, FSU. Well, you're more Alabama against Alabama though.
Yeah, there's a little bit of bitterness towards FSU just because the whole national championship thing and everything, and last third, which I was there, might I add.
Oh, nice.
It was great. It was great, even though we didn't come away with the win. But no, it's a newfound. I don't think hatred is the right word for it, but it's a newfound dislike for FSU among us Auburn people now.
Okay, no, hey, us people at the University of Miami, we are very anti-FSU. Like, we've had some of the most memorable rivalry games against FSU. Like, wide right is always the first one that comes up. That famous game, and that's going way back. People that are young, really like in high school or junior high right now, wide right. Google it.
That's about how it is with us and the other that you mentioned that I don't even want to say.
Oh, okay.
That's how bad that hatred is.
Okay, yeah. Oh, my bad. But yeah, like I was around. I went to the U back when Gino Toretta was around, and Gino Toretta won the Heisman when I was there. And yeah, of course, that was also when FSU finally got us and won their first national championship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a kick in the nuts.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, that kind of goes in that ties in along, I guess, with me. My first semester at Auburn was 2012 season where we were 3-9. So that was our worst season I've ever been. I was, of course, first time I'm here. Come on now, like what, really?
Yeah, well,
but
yeah, the U hasn't been a national powerhouse in a while though. So I'm kind of feeling you. They need to turn it around. I don't know what they got to do.
Yep.
But yeah, we need to see them back in the picture. Especially now that FSU has been in the picture for the last couple of years. That's hurting. That hurts.
Yep.
Oh man. So that's a kick in the pants. Speaking of which. But all right, that's college football. But yeah, that's typical of, like I was saying, what like fans were saying. Like I have these great conversations with fans, and we tend to also have like podcasts that are either all fans or all past survivors. Like Rod has a podcast, does this thing with Fishback, Survivor Know-It-Alls, and so what you and I got, we kind of have half and half, where we got both sides of the coin. We got the super fan side, and we got the past player side, and I've played enough that I could take it seriously, and I've played little enough that I could laugh and make jokes of it and not take it seriously at all. And yeah, this is the kind of episode where I'm surprised we got so analytical about it with all the hoo-ha and dingling going on.
How can you not?
Yeah. Well, you know what though? Since I just brought it back up, like that whole walking around naked, like we're having fun with it and all, but there's a danger to it, like seriously backfiring. Like what comes to mind right now is like Sue Hawk and Richard Hatch in All Stars, where she had a little bit of brush by his dingling, a little bumping, like you said, it was flapping in the wind.
She ended up quitting. Like what? Okay, I would not. I don't see myself quitting for something like that. I don't see myself quitting at all. But I guess
right. Well, she had a meltdown over it. And the camera angle, obviously, because you're not gonna get the camera right in between the two, so we don't know what really happened. If it was kind of flapping that he was trying to run by her or move by her and then kind of caught her, or if it's a case where he's a big dude. He was the only big dude that I can think of off the top of my head that ever won, but he's a big dude, and so when you're a big dude, you kind of take up space, and it was a little plank that they had to kind of maneuver past. So maybe it was that. I don't know. But, that kind of comes to mind of if this nudity keeps on going, and we saw how we had one person very uncomfortable with it. Tyler was very uncomfortable with it. Cause it's not just because he's married and all, but I think it's just like his faith and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Like what happens if like he gets a bump?
Right. It's just, I don't know. I don't see the point for it. Honestly, I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it. But if it was me out there and other people started tripping down, I wouldn't care, I don't think, but I wouldn't make it like that big of a deal as I guess some people do. So I'm just kind of like in the middle about it. Like, it's just like, whatever. Like if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Just don't involve me in it, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? With me, if I was in that situation, for starters, I'd probably slap the beard off of Mark Burnett. Like, you put me on the Dingling tribe? Come on, man. Ugh. I don't want to be on a Dingling tribe.
But then again, it always makes for good jokes and stuff, so,
Yeah, no, on the Hoo-Ha tribe, I'd probably be okay. But on the Dingling tribe, and I'm not homophobic, it's just, like, I wouldn't go all Sue Hawk over it, but.
Right.
But, but somebody who's very conservative would probably have a serious problem.
Right.
Because you get all walks of life on Survivor.
Exactly.
And it seems like Tyler is a conservative type.
Yeah.
At least that's the initial impression.
No, yeah, it can be seen that way.
Yeah, so I could totally see, like, all right, if Max keeps it at a distance, and even though Sharon didn't keep it at a distance, if she kind of keeps arm's length, he might be okay with it. But once we get, like, into the shelter and into that situation,
oh yeah,
that's when some issues might arise, and I'm a big believer that a lot of the energy for winning challenges comes from morale.
Oh yeah.
So if the morale gets down, then I think the tribe loses a lot. If the morale is up, then the tribe wins a lot. In my opinion, may not always.
Oh no, definitely, I agree. Go back to 29 seasons, all 29. There are instances where they're losing and their just morale is down and they keep losing, and it's just like, and the ones that are winning, same thing. And I totally agree.
Yeah, like I take a look at Russell Hanson, his first appearance in Survivor Samoa, with the whole burning of the socks and emptying out the water. That brought the morale down, and it did a lot of losing.
Oh yeah, and then they lost. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good example right there. So I agree, but I don't know. I think that's going to be something that needs to be kept. Oh well. I'm about to set myself up for a joke, but kept a close eye on for, because it's going to be interesting. Like, some people are going to be okay with it, and then it looks like Tyler he's sort of laughing it off now, but it's going to probably wear thin on him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree.
So I guess it's time for our prediction.
Predictions.
Our predictions are basically kept to, we don't do the who's going to win crap, because, that's always subject to the edit, and who the hell knows how they edit.
Oh, yeah.
The editor knows, but we don't know. So instead, we're going to go with who's looking good, who's not looking good, and who do we need to keep an eye on for whatever reason.
All right. Am I going first?
Oh, ladies first always.
Okay. Let's see. Not looking good. I think Will may still be on the chopping block a little just because of the whole challenge thing.
Right.
And then the whole split votes issue thing. So that may come back to bite him in the butt with all that. Obviously, like we mentioned earlier, Mike on the blue collar, just the whole bossiness thing may put him on the chopping block. People not taking too well to that. I feel like Carolyn's still she didn't seem to get that much airtime last episode, but I still feel like
she got a single soundbite.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. I still feel like she's in a pretty good position. Obviously, I mean, because she has the hidden immunity idol, but I don't know. She seems like a good player. She seems like she knows what she's doing. I think I mentioned that last week, but she's a top favorite for me. Carolyn, she looks pretty good. And then I mean, I gotta go with Max, I think, too. Because, I mean, obviously Joe, he's one of my favorites, so I'm always going to think he's looking good unless something intense happens. But Max, I don't know, he mentioned, because, like, the whole taking his clothes off thing gets him some alone time and everything, and that can either be good or bad, because you get rejuvenated from it or you get ostracized from it, and then no one really talks to you, so you don't know what's going on, depending on how long you're taking. But I don't know, I still like Max, and I still have good vibes from him, and think he's looking pretty decent.
All right, who to watch? Who do you keep your eye on?
Ooh, now that Vince is gone, who do we got to say? Ooh, let's see. I don't know. Maybe Rodney.
Okay, Rodney seems to be a quote machine right now.
Yeah. He, like I think it was him last week that I mentioned. He still has a bit of cockiness air to him. I don't know. He kind of gives maybe a little Russell Hantz vibe.
Okay. Well,
to me, maybe just a tad. So it's like the kind of you do kind of, I don't know, maybe it's the whole Boston thing. He's just like, I don't know.
He's entertaining.
Not against Boston. Not that I've ever been to Boston, but I have like this fascination with the North. So I mean, totally nothing against Boston, but
I love the North.
Yeah, I don't know. He just comes off like you might need to keep an eye on him. I think Because he's pretty seems like a pretty smart dude, and like I don't know, maybe some underhand and trickery here and there coming from him, possibility like some smart strategic moves.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, maybe a little bit of Tony vibes to him.
He's definitely entertaining. Like I said, he's a quote machine. He is from the Northeast, and the North, as we like to say, winter is coming.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I would say that, but I don't know. It's only third episode, so we'll have to keep watching.
Yeah. Okay, for my looking good, I'm going to surprise you. And I'm going to say, instead of Joe, I'm going to say Jen. I think Joe likes to believe he's the alpha male, and Jen is totally like pulling his strings. Because the strategy seems to be hers, but it's Joe that's voicing it.
Okay, yeah, I can see that, yeah.
So I like to say Jen is looking good. Not looking good. It is a toss-up between Will and Mike. I think since I got to pick who to watch, I'm going to just split the two. I'm going to pick not looking good is going to be Mike just because, there's no way you can piss off an entire tribe and survive. I don't think there's any situation in the history of Survivor where someone pissed off an entire tribe and still managed to get all the way to the end and win it all. So, yeah. So, but for the same reason, for not looking good, I'm going to say we got to keep an eye on Will because just as I predicted that Vince was a car wreck in the making, I think Will is a car wreck in the making.
Yeah, I can see that. He's essentially a type of swing vote, I feel like, too, because he was, like, on the last episode, Joe and them wanted him to come with them to split the votes, but then Vince and Nina also wanted him, so he could still potentially be a swing vote type person.
Well, the way I see it, he was going to be one of the main players out of a three-way alliance. Instead, now he's number 4 out of 4, and the other 3 out of the 4 are going to be pissed because they wanted to take out Nina and not Vince, a strong player. They wanted to go with split the vote, and then when they re-vote, they were going to vote Nina.
Right.
And so he went out on a limb and did on his own, took out Vince.
Yeah.
And he didn't exactly look good in the challenges, so they needed Vince.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So he's number 4 out of 4, and the other 3 out of the 4 don't like him. So
either way, he may be screwed.
Yeah, so he's a car wreck in the making right now. He's hitting the wall. He's about to burst into flames. That's where he's at. So for that reason, he's the guy to look at right now. He's the guy to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, so next episode, the next time on Survivor, we see, like you said, a lot of conflict. I think I mentioned last time that this is the area of the game where the honeymoon's over, and you get those conflicts, and you get people who can't stand one another, and those are that tend to be how the votes go down now, is in this area of the game where, instead of it being who gets me further or who's just the unlucky person who drew the shortest straw, now it's I can't stand them, they got to go.
Let's get them out.
Yeah, let's get them out. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think the tribe that, of course, doesn't go to tribal council during this stretch of the game is going to dominate. Plus, also, the one that does go to tribal council here and there that is smart enough to put aside how they feel and instead go with a strategy of what gets them further, I think, will be in the next best position. And a tribe that's just totally emotional. I think the no-collar tribe is going to be very emotional. Yeah, I think that's the tribe that's going to suffer, and there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 of them on the jury, if that.
Yep, I would agree.
Yeah, so that's it's going to be interesting the next episode. Lots of conflict, lots of drama. I'm curious to see if the nudity keeps up. I know a friend of mine who was on Naked and Afraid was. He was probably yelling at the screen like, gimmick infringement! So I gotta say hello to LJ from Naked and Afraid, another shout out. Get that one out of the way. But yeah, now he can totally say he should have been on Survivor. He would have been perfect.
There you go, yep.
Yeah, he would have been perfect.
Changing the dynamics.
Yeah. And no, the best thing is that he's a real life survivalist, because to be on Naked and Afraid, where you're dropped off in the middle of the jungle with nothing but, your bare ass, you need to be damn good at surviving the wilderness. He would have been perfect for Survivor. He would have been a naked Ozzy out there. He would have been like Richard Hatch and Ozzy together.
Well, that's a combo right there.
Yeah. That's a combo. Oh, my goodness. But all right, so, this episode wasn't as long as the first episode, so there was less to cover.
True, yeah.
Yeah, so I personally like the 90-minute format.
Oh yeah, can never get enough of Survivor.
Oh, there you go. You know, the foreign versions tend to be longer in length than the American versions. Not only in episode wise, but also in gameplay. They tend to be 42 days.
That's one of the reasons Survivor Australia is one of my favorites. It's the only season that was 42 days, or more than 39 days,
Right,
which
It's really not
42.
bad. Yeah.
And I just really like it. The combination of the cast and everything, and some really good players come out of there.
Yeah.
I would say Survivor Australia is probably my favorite season.
Okay. I like Pearl Island, and I think I just put a quote up there. It was just Comedy Central to me. It was like every quote was comedy, so comedy gold. But if for those out there listening that might want to check out a foreign version of Survivor, my favorite one so far is called Desafío, which is Spanish for challenge, and their first and only season so far is called La Gran Batalla, which means the Great Battle. And they kind of copied the Cook Island twist, where they had North America versus South America versus the Caribbean.
Okay.
And they also copied Fiji, where the reward was the team that finished first got upper class accommodations. The team that finished in the middle kind of just got hammocks to sleep on, and the team that finished in the bottom, they got nothing. So like the haves and have-nots. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I don't know if there's one out there that has the English translation, but it's in Spanish, and every once in a while they would slip and speak English, because most of them, if not all of them, were from the United States.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was.
That's interesting.
It's really good. Their challenges are so hardcore, like they have barbed wire in their challenges.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's how hardcore it is. And the original Redemption Island comes from these guys. They did it first before our version of Survivor.
That's cool.
Where they played regular Survivor up until the jury, and then at the jury there was no more team vote outs. There was no more group vote outs. They would have 2 immunity challenges. The winner of the first immunity challenge would vote out one person, and then the winner of the second immunity challenge would vote out a second person, and the 2 would face off at Redemption Island. The winner stays, the loser goes on a jury.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting twist and very different. It was played in Costa Rica, so check it out. It's called Desafío, and that's their plug. So all right. So anybody has any comments or questions or anything, just leave them in the comment section here on YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll try to get to some. So this way you and I can answer some questions. There was this one person that said that just pointing out that I'm into so many different things like guitar playing, pro wrestling, whatever. This now they're like you have many gifts. Thank you. I don't think it's that I have many gifts. I think it's just that whatever good idea pops into my head, or whatever idea, even not even a good one, I just go ahead and do them. Live.
That's a gift right there.
Aw, thank you. All right, so for Billy Garcia from Survivor Cook Island and Kelly McCrary from the University of Auburn,
War Eagle,
this has been Survivor Smackdown. Check you guys out next Monday for the next episode.